What's up, everyone? My name is Davis Wilson, and I'm a fourth year civil engineering major here at the University of Georgia College of Engineering. Civil engineering is such a cool field of study as it basically focuses on designing and maintaining the world's infrastructure that we use on a daily basis. For example, a civil engineer probably helped design the building you're currently sitting in right now, or the roads that you ride on your way to school, or the pipe systems that allows water to come out the faucet when you wash your hands. I really like civil engineering because you get to use a lot of math, science, physics, and problem solving to design super cool structures that we see and use every day.
Hello, my name is Christopher Arbeis, and I am the Community Outreach Chair for the UGA student branch of the American Society of Civil Engineers. We are a starting point for a larger professional field dedicated to supporting the work of civil engineers. Now, I know that civil is not a self-explanatory field. The title does not give away its meaning. But I would like to fix that and share with you a part of what we do, part of what makes our work meaningful, and a part that can help you all find entertaining. Now, at first, we have our president, Jason Wang, talking about what it means to be a civil engineer.
So, what is civil engineering? Well, besides just being a bunch of concrete fanatics, civil engineers do a great amount for society. If you've ever been in a building, been on a road, gone through a bridge, seen a dam, or even a really tall skyscraper, those are all things that a team of civil engineers have come together to create. And there is just so much more that you see every day that are created by civil engineers. So some of the tools that civil engineers use for their job and designing and creating all of those magnificent structures are stuff like computer design software. We use it to make sure that a building is structurally sound, making sure that it doesn't collapse if there's too many people on the floor, for instance. Civil engineers use surveying equipment to make sure that the distances are measured precisely, accurately, and correctly, and making sure everything is where it needs to be. And during construction, there is a lot of special construction equipment like cranes that are used to make sure those really big buildings are possible. And I want to talk about concrete because concrete is one of the most important materials that civil engineers use, and it is found nearly everywhere. If you just walk down the street on a sidewalk, the sidewalk is made of concrete, and concrete is a very durable and cheap material. Do you know that by the volume, concrete is actually cheaper than a can of Coke? So it's extremely inexpensive and it's very strong, and it's basically like rock. It's artificial rock. So what if I told you that you can take concrete, you can build a canoe out of concrete, and you can, ride down the river in that canoe. It can float. And that is exactly what we will explore.
Thank you, Jason. Yes, you heard that right. As part of our club, we design and build a canoe each year made exclusively from concrete. Hello, my name is Patrick, and I am the concrete canoe captain at UGA. You may know that before concrete becomes the hard, rock-like material that we all know makes up our sidewalks, driveways, and buildings, concrete actually flows just like mud. It's because of this that we can form it into almost any shape that we want, even bulldogs. But how do you form this mud-like substance into a canoe? The key is making a mold in the shape of a canoe that we can simply place a thin layer of the concrete all around and on top of. You can see that the concrete canoe is actually made upside down first. After a couple of weeks, the concrete has dried and becomes completely hard and solid. We can then take it off the mold and it's ready for competition. This canoe was the one that we made in 2019. It was called Just Peachy. But how does a canoe-shaped rock float, you may ask? There are two important factors that allow this to happen. One is the type of concrete that is made for the canoe. Just like how the ingredients that make up a cake have to be adjusted to make different types of cakes, the same is true for concrete. Because of this, we can make a type of concrete for the canoe that is very light. This is done by trapping in a lot of air while mixing the concrete and using a lightweight stone within the concrete mix. You can see in the top picture that this concrete has little cavities where air is allowed to be inside the concrete. This allows it to float much easier because the air is lighter than the water, and we'll talk about that in a second. You can see in the bottom picture that there are two piles of gravel. Gravel is a very important ingredient in concrete. So the left-hand side is 25 tons and the right-hand side is 25 tons. That's the same weight. But the right-hand pile of gravel is a much greater volume. This is because that stone is much lighter than the stone in the left-hand pile. For our concrete canoe, we would use a stone that is light, just like the gravel on the right-hand side. The other factor is something you're probably very familiar with. It's the same idea that allows boats to stay above water and for a float to keep you dry while you're in the pool. This is called buoyancy. Using our pool float example, the float only works if it's full of air. When you lay on top of the pool float, your body pushes the air in the float down into the water. Because the air is so much lighter than the water pushes it up to the top and keeps it there. This is exactly how the canoe works. Because there is air in the middle of the canoe being pushed down into the water pushes back up on the bottom of the canoe. And there you have it, a seafaring vessel made up of rock, air, and UGA students. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. And thanks to Jason as well for helping put together this video. I hope that you, the viewer, have gained a greater appreciation for the many ways that concrete can be used and for the people who use it. I know that may be a bit overwhelming to think about such a project, but like Patrick says, it takes an entire year to really put all the pieces together. In spite of that, I would encourage you all to think about something a little smaller that you could build. Whether you make it for popsicle sticks or spaghetti, or even just with paper, I hope you can take a minute and think about how you would do it. Then, someday in the future, you could be here with us, building the next concrete canoe.